This is the Upper Room at Legacy.
All right, so today we're going to talk about, I would say, the biggest pitfall for agents. And really, we say this a lot. It's not just agents in the insurance world. It's commission people. It's salespeople. It's the pitfalls that people fall into with their money. Now, as it pertains to our business, and I would say most commission-based or most sales-based organizations, there's some general things that agents need to be doing to try to avoid some of these pitfalls. So I'm going to go through a couple of things real quick. Number one, if you are a business owner, you've got to make sure that you have a plan for being successful. Absolutely. Nobody goes into business planning to fail. Everybody goes into business planning on being successful, but they plan on when that idea of success for them is very vague. It's not like, what are the processes I need to do to get my company started? That's very detailed, right? I have to set up a corporation. I have to, file it with the state. I have to get an EIN number. I have to, right? There's all these concrete steps. And they, most of the time when they start their business, they have this vision of what a successful business is going to look like. They have this vision of what this is, more so probably, what is this going to provide for me in the future? I mean, that's kind of an unfortunate thing in business. Most people, their main why or their main beginning reason for doing their business is what it's going to give them later on. They don't actually have a plan for it. They don't actually have a plan for, if I'm successful, then I'm going to do this with my money. If I'm successful, then I'm going to do that. I'm going to, apply capital here. I'm going to save capital here. So first thing that you've got to do is, one, you've got to make sure when you start a business, you get a knowledgeable attorney to produce your corporate documents. So why do I say this? You can go online now and you can start a corporation for $59.59. It's probably not even that expensive anymore. But you can go into these online places and they'll say, hey, create your own corporation for this, right? And you create the corporation, and then you realize that the articles of incorporation are down through the bylaws and stuff like that. They are governed by the laws of the state of California, right? Well, we live in Oklahoma. So people make errors there. They go in and their articles of incorporation are not properly done. The ownership is not properly displayed in the document. Stock certificates are not issued. All of these, units are not divided. They think, oh, well, I'll just set it up this way and then I'll add this person later, and they never get added later. There's all of these things that happen that start people out on the wrong foot. The other thing that I would say that happens is, especially in the insurance agent world, or even in the financial advisor world, people never set up a business in the first place. They say, oh, just pay my commissions to my personal, and then I'll just have my personal account, and then I'll just have my accountant handle it later on down the road. I'll have them figure it out. Well, you know what? The majority, and forgive me if you're an accountant listening to this, the majority of the accountants out there are history recorders. It's just the way it is. Very few are real tax planners. So they're going to take your information, they're going to look at it, they're going to apply, the general TurboTax rules, and then they're going to spit you out some data that says how much you owe, how much you pay, what you need to do for your quarterlies, whatever. They're going to give you that basic information, and then they're going to move you down the road. Unless you're a much larger business. Once you're a much larger business that generates a much larger stream of revenue for that accounting firm, you're not going to get a whole lot of attention, typically. So, one, you got to get a good attorney to set up your corporate docs. Two, you got to make sure that you have an accountant that understands exactly where you are and is a tax planner, meaning that they understand that you are a new business, you are a growing business, and there's opportunity for income or wage growth, very real growth in the near future. And then you have to take it a step further than that. You have to take it upon yourself to set up quarterly or semi-annual meetings with that accountant. Now, guys, you're listening to this, you may think, oh man, this is some boring stuff. This is the stuff that if you don't do it, it will destroy your business. It will absolutely 100% destroy your business. Accounting mistakes are some of the biggest reasons why businesses fail. You have when you're starting out, you have an issue, you get a $30,000, $40,000 tax lien put on you. It can affect licensing. It can affect all of these different aspects of your business. So make sure that you have those things. Make sure that you're going in quarterly or semi-annually and meeting with your accountant. Make sure that you're doing proper tax planning. Make sure that you have a good bookkeeping or a good bookkeeper. A lot of people say, oh, I'm just going to go buy QuickBooks and then I'll download it on my laptop. And, oh, they have this great handy app, which, again, QuickBooks stuff is amazing. I'll just use the app. And you know what? They don't capture their receipts. They don't. Again, they're having commissions, business commissions flowing into personal accounts, paying personal bills, also paying business bills. Get everything separate. There is personal in your life. Once you become an agent, once you become a commission-based sales rep, once you become a business owner, you have two sides now. You have personal and you have business, and you never mix the two. You never, ever mix the two. You never mix the money. You never mix the expenses. You never mix the two. You keep them separate. So once you've done this, you're going in quarterly, you're going in semi-annually, you're meeting with your accountant. One of the main reasons why you want to do that is you want to train that accountant to have that expectation that they need to be prepared, they need to meet with you, and they need to be looking at your stuff. Now, when you have those meetings, they're going to want to know your bookkeeping information. So if you are horrible, and this is one area where you have to do some self-reflection, if you are horrible with keeping track of things, if you are not an organizational person, do not be your own bookkeeper. You will fail, you will get behind, you will put it off, and you'll do that because you hate it. And hating it's okay. I always tell business owners, like when I'm doing consulting work, I say, stick to your strengths. Contract out your weaknesses. Only do the things that take your specific skill set to do. Those are the only things that you need to be doing. As a business owner, you've got to do that. If you're not good with numbers, you're not good with keeping track of things, farm that out. It's not expensive, right? So we've talked about attorney, we've talked about accountant, we've talked about bookkeeper. Next thing you need to have is you can go have your payroll done for $50 a month. You can pay one of these services. I'm not going to name them, but there are online services, there are local services, there are small, medium, and large services. Get somebody to do your payroll for you. Make sure that coordinates with your bookkeeping and with your accounting. And anytime that something changes, go back to the attorney, right? So now what are we building? We're building this system, right? We're building our team to help support us as a business owner. Lastly, once you've established your business, and we're going to talk about here in just a minute, we're going to talk about some of the things that we see, some of the pitfalls. But once you have established this team, the last thing that you need to do is you need to create a security net for your business. So, for instance, I created Legacy Insurance Advisors. It was one of our first companies that we created. Once we had become successful, once we had started generating some real revenue, I immediately wanted to find or put in place what's called a buy-sell agreement. All right. What is a buy-sell agreement? A buy-sell agreement is an agreement that allows a person to purchase your business, in some instances requires it, that they purchase your business for a set price that's outlined in a legal document at a set time. Now, why is this important? If you are a business owner and you do not have a buy-sell agreement in place, when you pass away, there is a transference of ownership to your estate, which is then transferred to your wife or your husband. If you're a female business owner, it's transferred to your husband. If you're a male business owner, it's transferred to your wife. If you're single, it goes to your estate, and now you're really in trouble because now you have an unattended asset. Nobody else can buy those shares, can take those shares away until there's a representative assigned to your estate, and then there has to be a transaction there. If you're a business owner, for instance, I'll use myself as an example. If something were to happen to me and I had not put a buy-sell agreement in place, the transference of ownership is going to go to my wife. Now, there are people, my competitors out there that know me, They know our level of success. They know our level of what we do and our level of production and all that kind of good stuff. What do you think is going to happen when those shares are transferred to my wife? They're going to come calling. Hey, we want to buy your book of business. Hey, we want to buy this company from you. Do you think they're going to pay what it's worth?
No.
No, they're not going to pay what it's worth. They're going to want to pay a discounted price because they know, one, that she may or may not, most likely will not want anything to do with it. Two, they know that she may or may not know how to run it or have any interest in running it. And three, they know that if they just wait long enough, one of two things is going to happen. They'll either get it at a cheaper price or that book of business or that company will dissolve, right? Now think about a competitor. Either one of those are positive outcomes. If I can buy it cheaper or it goes away, I either get a bigger book at a better price or a competitor is now gone, which just means more for me. So a buy-sell agreement allows that ownership of your corporation to be transferred to someone that you deem is worthy, and then it allows your estate to have a proper value assigned to it and for it to be purchased. Ownership is transferred over, money is transferred over, your estate, your spouse, whoever that may be, your beneficiaries, whatever, they are now adequately compensated at current market rates for a business that you spent, some or the majority of your life to build. So those are the very, very, very boring steps that everybody needs to be taking, right? They're boring, but they're essential. You got to be doing these things. You got to be following up with these. You got to make sure that you have them in place. If you don't have somebody that you can do a buy-sell agreement with, there are ways around that. There are other options. There are other things that you can do to protect your business if in the case of that something happens to you. But once you've got those things in place, now you have kind of your financial house in order.